This is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, Alpha 4 station. Come back with your call sign. Got Alpha 4 EH, is that a Roger? Just getting a handle on your signal. You're quite low. Come back with your QTH. You are almost at my noise level. Let's try the name. What's the name down that way? I copy that as Ed. Roger. Alpha Echo Delta. Oh, I got that. Atlanta is the QTH. All right, and what's your station? What you running there?
100 watts between Carolina Wyndham. 160 meter Carolina Wyndham. It's 265 feet long. And up about 70 feet in the air. I thought that's over.
Roger, Roger. Did you say 100 watts? Roger, Roger, Ed. Well, gosh, I wish we had better conditions. You know, it's getting more and more seldom that 100 watts actually performs very well over 600 miles on 40 meters at this time. I don't know what it is. You know, we just haven't had good conditions lately.
Well, that's gradually a little bit of power to avoid the ground absorption here. I don't know what we're getting on. On ground wave, but signal's not great here, and 100 watts can be a challenge over this distance at this time of day. What's the name there, over?
The name here is Jim, Juliet India Mike, and we are located near Louisville, Kentucky. We're just on the Indiana side of the Ohio River, right at Louisville. Roger, Roger. Roger, Roger, Ed. Incidentally, we are recording our QSO-VLOG, and we will be posting these transmissions on YouTube in the next couple of days. So if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, that will bring up the QSO-VLOG page of ours, and this will be identified as by the date and frequency, date and frequency, because usually we have so many call signs, we can't get all the call signs in the title. Roger, Roger. Well, 3's down that way, Ed, in Atlanta. Alpha 4, Echo Hotel. This is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor. Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor with our Friday morning QSO-VLOG program. If you'd like to check in and see what your transmitter sounds like, your EQ, compression, all that stuff, we are recording, and we will be posting the QSO-VLOG on YouTube in the next couple of days. So if you'd like to check out your sound, give us a call now, and we'll be standing by. I hear a couple of stations back in there I do hear a couple of stations right at my noise level. Just FYI, we will drop down to 100 watts so you can see what you're probably sounding like to me. Okay, we're at 100 watts now. This is KC9VKV at 100 watts. This is KC9VKV at a KW. I hear a couple of stations back in there. This would be an excellent opportunity for you to maybe check out your ALC. Make sure your audio is up to snuff. Go to your ALC position and check your modulation to be sure that you're within the ALC guidelines, not over the ALC, but about snug as you can get in the rug to the right-hand side of max. Want to be towards max on the right-hand side of the ALC meter, not over the ALC reading, but next door to it. That will give you your maximum audio signal. I sometimes suggest that by today's situation of noise and all that stuff, that sometimes it's advantageous to crank in just a tad of compression, maybe a 3 out of 10, maybe a number 3 compression out of 10. That will give you a little bit more average percentage of modulation, since the normal average percent of modulation without processing is about 30%. So if you want to double your sound and bring it up to 60%, do a little tweaking. It might involve a 3 out of 10 on your compressor and just a little bit of EQing there, trying to get a little bit more on the top end for intelligibility. This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor and the Friday morning QSO-VLOG. Boy, oh boy, I tell you, I'm just, you're just riding right at my noise level, you know. I can hear you back there, but I can't cipher the words. That's the whole thing about modulation. It's the communication of words from one point to the other. And intelligibility is, you know, you can have all the signal in the world, but if it's Mr. Bassman, you know, and a marginal signal, you can't really copy. So, you know, make sure that you have a nice, crisp audio there. This KC9VKV. Bravo Mike 0. Stand by just a moment. I'm catching an LL. This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor. Station calling. Come back with your call sign now.
Whiskey 3, Bravo Mike Kilo.
Whiskey 3, Bravo Mike, and what was the rest?
Kilowatt.
Gotcha there, gotcha. And what's the name there?
The name here is Carl, and I'm located in Butler, Pennsylvania, just north of Pittsburgh.
Butler, Pennsylvania. Carl, sounding good there, sir. You're making the trip anyway. You're running about 100 watts?
Yes, sir, I am. Jim, we're running 100 watts. ICOM 7300, which is IL TR781.
Roger. Now, 781, is that similar to the 777, or is that a totally different animal?
Yeah, it's a little bit different. But it's really a nice microphone. I use it on. I have a 735 and a 7200, and I just kind of plug and play with it there.
Roger that. Well, FYI, I'm monitoring your signal on a VU meter coming right out of the receiver, and you are about 4 dB above my noise level. Just about 4 dB above my noise level. I can't give you a real S meter reading because we're not running our receiver like a lot of folks. We are just introducing enough RF gain to make the make the thing work. So we're not compressing the HEC and getting a bunch of noise suck up between words. Roger?
Oh, Roger, Roger. Yeah, I have all the information here also. For that on YouTube, be interested in hearing what my station sounds like.
Roger, Roger. If you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, you'll find that'll take you to the QSO-VLOG page, and you'll find our QSO as listed as the frequency, the date, and the frequency. Since we usually have a bunch of call signs or too many call signs to put in the title, so we just do it by the date and the frequency. Roger, Roger. Boy, Carl, I wish you had another KW there to crank in back of that. Or we had better conditions, whichever comes first. But, Mother Nature, boy, she just, she keeps a lid on it, and every once in a while she takes a lid off, and, boy, everything sounds beautiful. You could go down to, I copied a guy one time at 5 watts down in Louisiana, right there where the ocean is, furthest south, I guess you can do in Louisiana. I mean, he had the ocean as a front yard, and actually he had his antenna about 3 foot out into the surf, and and he was running 5 watts. So sometimes the band really opens up. Roger, Roger. Roger, Roger, Carl. Now, I would suggest that you go to your ALC and check out, be sure that your audio is up to snuff. On that ALC, ALC is your friend, and it will tell you exactly what's going on modulation-wise, or pretty close to it, unless you're getting, with power you're getting RF in the AF, and it won't tell you about that. Well, it will, but not precisely, but it will tell you about your your modulation level, and I found that you want to be right on that right-hand side of max, not over, but close to it. Roger, Roger.
Roger, Roger. Yeah, I'm right up to the mark there.
That's right. And I've found that if you crank in just a little bit of processing, a little bit of compression, it gets a whole lot easier to set the ALC. Because once you add, about a 3 out of 10 compression, that meter kind of softens up and doesn't move quite as much. It isn't quite as erratic. It moves slower, and it's a lot easier to precisely set your ALC if you're running about a 3 out of 10 on compression. Roger?
Roger, Roger. Yeah, that's about where I have mine right now. Seems like it's right where you need it. But hopefully it sounds good anyway.
Roger, Roger. Well, I'm telling you, that kilowatt would help. This is not a good day, and your audio level is about 3 to 4 dB over the noise, But occasionally we get a good a good spike of signal, and I can hear that your audio is sounding really good. Roger?
Roger, Roger. Okay, very good. All right, Jim, I'll let you roll and see if you can make some more contact, and hope to talk to you soon.
Roger, Roger, Carl. 3's up that way, sir. I appreciate the shout, and like I say, we will be posting this QSO vlog in the next couple of days. on our YouTube channel, and if you go there and do a call letter, go to YouTube and do a call letter search, Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor. That will take you to our QSO-VLOG page, and this QSO will be ID'd, titled by the frequency and date and frequency. So threes to you there, Carl. Appreciate the shot. Have a good day. This is KC9VKV standing by.
73 GW3DMK.
This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor with the Friday morning QSO-VLOG. If you want to hear what your station sounds like, give me a call. We are recording probably as close to perfect as you can get. We're direct out of the receiver, direct out of the line out of the receiver, and it's sounding a lot like a flex recording. Of course, this isn't a flex, but it sounds beautiful. I think close, Of course, I don't have $4,000 or $8,000 for flex, but I can try to record as close to perfection as possible, and I think we've almost achieved that. So if you want to hear what your station sounds like, give us a call. KC9VKV, standing by. India Gulf Station, come back with the call sign again.
Yes, it's Whiskey 4 Papa India Golf. My name's Danny. I'm located in Talladega, Alabama. Just wanted to see how this 7,300 pounds with a Kyle 5 rag cartridge. Roger.
Roger. Now, let me hear you just a little bit more. Come back and talk to me. Tell me about your setup there.
Okay, I'm running an Icon 7300 to an Alpha 91B at about a KW to a double bazooka antenna.
Roger that. And what's the name there?
Danny, Alpha, November Yankee.
Roger, Danny, your audio sounds a little non-linear. It sounds like, not smooth like it should. I'm just wondering, could you run any kind of compression? Could you run like about a 3 out of 10 on your compressor?
Okay, let me check my compression. Okay, I've had the compression. I don't know, I had that. Did that help any?
Well, I think conditions might have shifted around. Go to your ALC and check your. Do you have your compressor in?
Yes, I do. Let me get to the compressor.
I would say go to your ALC and check your modulation on your ALC. You want to be on the right-hand side of max, not over, but right next door. Right when you get towards max, it really maxes out. I'll tell you exactly what it sounds like. It sounds like you're running a compander with in the expansion mode, because when you get to a certain point, then the audio really jumps up. Check to be sure that you're in the compression mode, not the expansion mode.
Yeah, I'm in the compression mode right there. W4PIC.
Roger. Come up on you say you're running right at max on your ALC?
I'm not now. I'm running about 4 or 5 dB, Roger.
You're towards the right-hand side max on the ALC?
Yeah, Roger. About 3/4.
Roger. How much power are you running?
I'm only running KW to the amp, but 40 watts is what I'm driving the amp with.
Roger. It might be that you're getting a little RF in your audio. Are you familiar with that situation?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, very.
There's something there that's not it's non-linear. You know, it just hits a certain point and then it really jumps up audio-wise. What kind of mic are you running?
How at 8C5 part to the 8C5 part, Rod.
Roger. Now you can see your watt meter.
Oh yeah, I'm watching my watt right at a KW.
All right, then reach up as you're talking and just kind of put your hand on the connection that goes into your mic, you know, and just move your hand around your mic just to see if possibly you might be on the verge of, you know, some RF in the AF.
Okay, I'm moving the mic. That's better.
Conditions weren't good at the moment, but I didn't hear anything. It didn't take off like a big bird, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Oh, it's a big bird. I don't know it. It's not really good, Rod.
Tell you what, take your, if you would, take your compressor up to about a 5. I'd like to hear the point where it starts, you know, your excursions get less, like maybe 3 dB of dynamic range is about perfect, I think, you know. And right now you're running about, well, like it's hard to tell because, like I say, at some point your audio just jumps up. But if you were to run about a 5 and then double check on your ALC to be sure you're still under the max ALC, we'd like to see what that does as far as your sound. Roger, Roger.
Okay, Roger. Okay, there I am. And it's running about 3/4 way on ALC, Rod.
Roger. Now your non-linearity problem is not a problem now. It sounds much more natural at that situation than it did earlier. Roger.
Okay, we'll leave it right there. I just wanted to see how it sounded myself. I know it's a RADIOLAND. I'm not much a TX, right?
Roger that. Well, you'll be able to check it out on our YouTube channel. If you, in the next couple of days, we'll post this QSO-VLOG, and if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that'll bring up our QSO-VLOG page, and this vlog will be labeled by frequency and date. Date and frequency will be the title, Roger.
Okay, KC9VKV, is that correct?
That's a big Roger, Roger, Roger.
Okay, thanks for having me. I believe it's doing better. I can tell it's driving the amp a little better, Roger.
Roger, Roger. Still sounds a little non-linear, but you'll be able to hear it and figure it out. It could be, I tell you what, dump your amp and come back and let me hear you, if I can hear you without the amp, Roger. Okay, give me just a little bit more. I tell you, Denny, I don't have a real good copy with you on the barefoot side, but from what I heard, it sounded a lot more linear than with the amp on. So you could be, number one, either driving the amp too hard, or you're getting RF back in the AF. One of those two things probably is causing the non-linearity of your audio. But I would say, you know, a good ground, you know, particularly when you're running power, a good ground is very advantageous. I've got 3 grounds. I have and 2 Spider ground systems. One just for the amp and the antenna stuff. And because it didn't make much sense to me to put my audio preamp ground to my power amplifier ground. It just didn't make much sense. So I have separated my grounds, and essentially I have 2 ground systems, 2 Spider systems, one involving the power amp and antenna stuff, and the other, you know, involving the mic preamp and any audio processing and the radio. And then I have 2 grounds tied together on one Spider system and 1 ground tied together with the other Spider system. Roger?
Roger on that. Well, thanks a lot. I got a honeydew I got to get done before PI. See you later.
Roger, Roger. Danny, 3's that away, sir. That sounded good there. So I'd run it like that for a while and see if anybody salutes. And check it out on the our QSO-VLOG in the next couple of days. 3's that away. This is KC9VKV in the Friday morning QSO-VLOG. And I heard somebody back in there come up on mic and try it again. Okay, I almost got it there. Give me phonetics one more time.
Roger, Roger. The phonetics are Juliet 4, Zulu, Foxtrot, FK.
I got it. Kilo, Juliet 4, Zebra, Foxtrot, and what was the last?
Okay, again, all right, it's the Kilo, Juliet 4, Zulu, Foxtrot, Kilo. Kenya, how copy, over?
Copy the last as V, Victor.
The last letter of the alphabet. The last letter of the alphabet. Zulu.
Zulu, got it. And what's the name there?
The name is November, and I need your call sign, sir.
Roger, call sign is Kilo, Charlie, 9, Victor, Kilo, Victor. The name is Jim, Juliet, India, Mike, and we're located near Louisville, Kentucky. And what was your name again, please, sir?
My name is John, Juliet, Hotel, located in Great Tennessee,
Northeast Tennessee. Roger, Roger. Well, you are a few dB above my noise level, but not many. This is not one of those good condition days, Roger. It looks like you might also be probably about 3 or 4 dB above my noise level, somewhere in there. I'm going to drop down to 100 watts. This is 100 watts, so you can see pretty much what the situation is. And now we're back to KW. Roger, Roger.
Roger. I'm running about 90 watts, or about 90 watts.
Roger, Roger. Well, you punched through that time. You were about 5 dB above my noise level that last transmission, Roger.
Roger, I noticed the same thing. I'm sure I got your call sign right, though. Could you give it to me one more time, please?
Roger, call sign is Kilo, Charlie, 9, Victor, Kilo, Victor. Roger.
Roger, Jim. I had you down for New Albany, Indiana.
That's a Roger, Roger. We're just at Louisville. We're on the Indiana side of the Ohio River, right at Louisville, Kentucky, just across the river from downtown Louisville, which is about 3 miles away. Roger?
Roger, I understand now. And I thank you for coming back to me. I just checked out my radio here. It's been a while since I've been on. And the conditions are horrible. I've got an S9 and we're punching through.
Roger that. And what kind of antenna are you running?
Say that again. I didn't catch that last part.
Roger, Roger. What kind of antenna are you running?
I'm running a I've got the Aircheck, so it's in the emergency configuration, and I have the Aircheck about 20 feet off the ground.
Roger that, Roger that. Well, on a better day, I would have a better copy on you. You know, sometimes 100 watts sounds perfect. You know, it just depends on Mother Nature, and right now she's being stingy.
I'm just saying, certainly do. I tell you, I'm about tired of this.
this sun cycle that we're in. It's about time to go back and start getting some good content.
Roger, Roger. I'm thinking about maybe moving this QSO-VLOG to an evening situation on 80 meters or 75 meters. Haven't figured it out yet exactly on the frequency, though. Don't want to, tell everybody to be on a frequency and then I get there and they're having a net or something. But I would think maybe about 10 o'clock this evening on 38, I'm not sure, 38, maybe 20, 3820. You happen to know of any traffic on 3820 at 10 o'clock tonight?
I don't know about that. I'll be going tonight. I've got to this evening.
Roger that, Roger that. Well, I haven't really put it together. I need a little more planning on it, but I would like to check out some evening stuff and see if, transmissions are 100 watts is what I'm interested in getting the best performance out of 100 watts. And sometimes I have noted that, 80 meters at night does better sometimes than, or a lot of times than 40 in the daytime, Roger.
Enjoy 40 meters.
Roger, Roger. Well, I enjoy 10 when the conditions are right, man. I just yesterday or the day before, I had two really nice contacts on 10. I didn't spend much time. Usually I don't spend much time checking out conditions on 10. I just go up there and listen for about 30 or 40 seconds and see if anybody salutes. If I don't hear anything, I'm out of there because I don't want to grow old standing by on 10 meters waiting for conditions to get right. Roger?
Roger, I know exactly what you're talking about. I feel the same way. I go to 10, I enjoy 10 whenever it's there, but it hasn't been there in a while.
Yeah, that's a Roger that. All right, well, let me jump out of here, and I'll say threes to you down that way, John. Thanks for checking in. And like I say, we'll be posting this in the next couple of days on YouTube. So if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that'll bring up the QSO-VLOG page. And on that page, you'll see one of those entities as, I'd probably say my group. And then it'll say the date and the frequency. So that will be the one when you find the one that has today's date on it. Roger, Roger.
Roger, understand. Sure do. Let me say I appreciate you coming back to me. It was nice to have a QSO under these conditions. We made it work, so that's good. Let me read to you, sir. This is KJ4CMK. I'll be clear with you.
Roger, John. Roger, John. 3 is down that way, so have a good day and enjoy. This is KC9VKV and the Friday morning QSO-VLOG program. If you want to hear what your station sounds like, give me a call. This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor standing by. There was a Juliet something in there. Come back with the call sign again. I got Juliet Echo, Juliet something Echo. Was that? Try it again. Juliet Yankee Echo. I still have the front. Still don't have it. What's the name? Let's try the name, see if we can do that. Boy, Boy, sir, I tell you, we just do not have any conditions today. You're actually right at my noise level. When you're transmitting, my noise level does not shift. It just stays the same. So you are truly right at my noise level, Roger. Roger, Roger, Juliet, Yankee Echo, as far as I got. If you're curious about what your station sounds like, you could check in our QSO-VLOG page on YouTube. Go to YouTube and do a call letter search, Kilo Charlie 9, Victor, Kilo Victor, and that'll take you to the QSO-VLOG page, and one of those entities on the page will have today's date and the frequency, and that will be the one that you're on, but you'll have to listen because, like I say, you were right at my noise level, but you'll be able to hear me talking about your Juliet Yankee Echo call sign. Roger, Roger, I have a brilliant idea. Anybody can relay? Anybody got a copy that could relay his call sign at least? This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor, Kilo Victor. No luck? Well, it is what it is. So I think I caught Florida, that you're in Florida. So 3 is head away, sir, and you have a good day, and we'll catch you later. This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor, Kilo Victor with the Friday morning QSO-VLOG program. If you have a need to hear what your station sounds like, give us a shout. This is probably as close to perfection as you're going to get as far as a recording. We are coming right out of the line out of the receiver. There's no camera, microphone, and your QSO-VLOG transmission does not sound like somebody else's room, Roger. Was that something United Canada? The name was Sean, is that a Roger?
Roger, Roger, I'm John, and I'm in northeast Georgia, close to Athens, Georgia.
Was that John, did you say?
Roger, John. John is correct, and just running 100 watts, probably getting maybe 90 out to an R7. This that's R7 vertical. The rig is a Icon 718.
Roger, Roger, John. Let me drop down to 100 watts. This is 100 watts. Can you still copy me there?
Roger, Roger. Interestingly enough, at my end, you're 5 and 8 with 100 watts, and 5 9 with the kilowatt. Just one F unit difference, over.
Roger, Roger. Now you came up a little bit right at the end of the last transmission, Roger.
Okay, that was good. That sounds good. And I'm intrigued by the audio on QRZ.com. And so I decided I'd give you a call. I am basically using equipment that my stepdad gave me and got me back on the air. I've been off the air since 1999, and then on March 10th of this year, he gave me one of his radios, the Icon 718, the AT11 tuner, a power supply heater, and these actually a microphone heater.
Roger that. You kind of faded out right at the end of that, but congratulations on getting back in to amateur radio after having been off the air for a while. Glad to have you back, and hopefully you will stay with us, stay interested, and find things. You know, that's the great thing about amateur radio. It's so broad in its concept of a hobby. So many different aspects to amateur radio that there truly is something for everybody, and hopefully you'll be able to maintain your interest in maybe some of the new solid state transmissions, in radios. And gosh, the radios, man, they're just so beautiful today, and certainly something for everybody's budget. Now, I wish I had about $8,000 or something to plunk down on a radio. I have a couple in mind, Roger.
The situation, I'm retired, I'm 65, I've retired for a few years, and that was one of the leading things that led my stepdad to just give me, he had 3 radios. He had a Kenwood, a Yaesu, and he had this Icon, and gave me the Icon, and I got everything all set up, and it's all on a little table. I call it a little table. But it works. It's having just a whole lot of fun. The last couple of days, the air conditions have been good.
Roger, John. Now you did fade out again at the end of that, but my pet peeve is everybody check their ALC to be sure that their audio is up to snuff. ALC reading should be right there towards max on the right-hand side, within the max guidelines, but very close to the right-hand side. And I have found that just about a 3 on the compression does great wonders as far as stabilizing the meter reading on ALC, and is about a 3 on compression. Makes it a lot easier to set the ALC correctly. Roger. Well, John, I think Mother Nature's turned us off there. I didn't hear you come back there, so let me say 3s to you, and down in Georgia, and you have a real good day. Maybe later on conditions might improve. If so, give me another shout, and we'll compare notes at that time. So 3s for now. This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor in the Friday morning QSO-VLOG, and if there's somebody out there that wants to check out the sound of their radio, give me a shout. This is KC9VKV standing by.
Alpha 0 Kilo Whiskey 0 KW.
The KW station, come back with the call sign again.
Alpha 0 Kilo Whiskey, Kentucky Whiskey, over.
Roger, that's your, and the name? The Alpha Kilo Kentucky Whiskey, what's the name there?
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to the other station. It's AA0KW. The name is Joe, located in Marion, Iowa. And you got a really bodacious signal over here in Iowa.
Roger, Joe. Thank you so much. I was beginning to wonder if we were really getting out there. Sometimes you can be working into a dead-end street if Mother Nature decides that's where she's going to put you, Roger.
Roger that. 40 meters is notorious for turning the switch off when you least expect it.
Roger that. Yeah, I am contemplating on moving our QSO-VLOG, or at least experimenting with our QSO-VLOG on 80 meters at maybe 10 o'clock at night to see if we can get some better performance out of these 100-watt radios, Roger.
Yeah, roger that. Yeah. Like I said, you're doing at least 10 over 9 here. I just wonder if you're Illinois or Indiana. I didn't catch where you were.
Roger. We are on the Indiana side of the Ohio River, right at Louisville, Kentucky. I can see downtown Louisville about 3 miles away, Roger.
Oh, real fine. Well,
we were just down in your neck of the woods 2 weeks ago. We went down to the market counter and went through that. Really enjoyed that. That's some beautiful country down in there.
Roger, Roger. Thank you so very much. I really like it. That's why I moved here some few years ago, because Louisville is a kind of a large city, not tremendously large, but fairly, and so I could do my thing in the town, and then in 10 minutes I could be out in the deep woods, and so that really appealed to me, Roger.
Yeah, real fine. Yeah, so we went to that. Thought about going down to the Corvette Museum, but that's we had already been away from home for 2 weeks, so we'll save that for another time. But there's lots to do around there. Over.
Roger. Now, John, I'm looking at your audio on a VU meter coming directly out of my receiver, and I'm seeing wide excursions in your modulation. If average peak modulation without processing is about 30%. And if we add just a little bit of compression, like maybe a 3 out of 10, that starts closing that gap, so you don't have so much dynamic range in your sound. Just your station just sounds louder. I'm wondering, just as an experiment, if you might try, your compressor just at a 3 out of 10, and see what that, and check then on your ALC to be sure that your ALC level is correct. The compression just keeps that ALC meter from bouncing so much. It keeps it up towards max. Roger.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Bumped up the compression just a little bit. I wasn't running any at all compression. So it only has 3 settings. So this is number 2 setting.
Oh, Roger, it's a 1, 2, 3, Roger?
Roger. This is I'm using a Flex 6500. That's what I'm using.
Okay, now check out your ALC and see where your ALC is, and maybe you might be able to bump your mic gain up a tad, Roger.
Yeah, okay. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm not hitting the ALC at all. It's just barely. Let me turn this thing.
That last transmission sounded a lot fuller, even though there is somebody on the frequency tuning up. Sir, if you would do your tune-up about 3 or 4 clicks up or 3 or 4 clicks down, it would be appreciated.
Okay, this is where it was, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is where I started out at right here with compression. And let me see, this is up higher than when I started out. This is the highest setting I've been at. Over.
That last one might be a little too much. I would come back to the one right before the last one. I guess it was your compression, Roger.
Yeah, okay. I was looking the other way, so I didn't look at the ALC. But this is showing about 5, it peaks at 10 dB of compression when I talk, and I noticed the watt meter is up around the average on the watt meter is up around 60 watts. So definitely running compression.
Roger that. Roger that. Well, the thing I look at sometimes is, a watt meter will show residual audio. The watt meter reflects your 100%, but it also reflects your background level. And I have found that sometimes you can bring your mic gain up to the point that the watt meter just starts to move around a little bit on the bottom side, and that's where you want it, maybe just a tad less than that, but right in that area, because you know that your background level is starting to come up, and you don't want too much of that, but just barely a little movement there, as a residual. I think a lot of times I'll run it that way.
Yeah. Okay. How does the audio sound? Does it sound okay now?
Yeah, Roger. I think it's sound. Obviously, I'd like about more audio cleanliness. Signal, better signal to really hear it. But close enough. I would leave it for right now. Is that the normal way you run it?
Yeah. Okay. I've got the low end cut at 150, so my voice is fairly deep anyway. So I try to chop off the low end if I can. Also, I'm using a mic preamp here, and it's a tube preamp, so I try to give a little warmth to the audio. That was the idea anyway, so I was just kind of curious how that sounded.
Roger. Now I'm running a ART preamp, which uses a 12AX7 in the circuit to put a little warmth in it, and that's the reason that I'm using that, plus the fact that I'm running a condenser microphone, so the ART preamp normally would furnish the phantom power supply for the condenser mic.
I'm running the exact same thing. Yeah, this is an ART Cube MT and then a AKG condenser microphone, so we have very similar setup.
Roger. I think I used ART preamp in my studio. I had a recording studio for a number of years, and so I would use that quite often. It's a very clean device, and it has input controls and output controls, which is really nice. It gives you a lot of flexibility. And I've got a bridge circuit out to bring it back to quasi mic level to go into the radio, but I'm running a third octave equalizer in back of the ART preamp. Roger.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't have that, but the Flex has got a pretty good equalizer built into it, so I utilize that to roll off the low end and kind of emphasize the mid-range is what way I have it set up for this microphone. And I also replaced the tube. I was reading on Amazon, that's where I bought it, and they said that the original Japanese tube was a little bit noisy, so I replaced 12AX7 with a mullet tube. So it was supposed to bring down some of the background noise on it, so that's what I'm running in it right now.
Roger. Yeah, it will, but you're talking about minus 60 noise level, and once you hit radio, you're not going to hear that. You might hear it in your earphones, but by the time it gets down the road, you would never hear that. Never. It's kind of like, running a kilowatt and dropping it down to 900 watts. Did you?
Yeah, real fine. The radio has a balanced input, so I'm going into the balanced input of the radio too, so I don't have to convert it back to single-ended.
Oh, Roger. Yeah, that's the other thing about the ART preamp is to be able to do unbalanced or balanced input and output. It gives you a lot of flexibility.
Yeah, real good. I wonder which condenser mic are you using?
This is Homebrew. This is my custom condenser mic, Roger.
Yeah, okay, real good. I got interested in these a few years ago. I heard a guy on the air, a couple of guys on the air that were using these, and they just had outstanding audio. The input system was very, very good. So I got interested in it, and I happened to run across one of these at a Hampstead that the guy had bought out a music store that was going out of business. And so he was selling off these, and he had two of these. One of them was brand new, and had never been opened up from a carrying case. So I latched on to it.
Roger that. Well, it'd be hard to duplicate that sound, because a condenser microphone just naturally lends itself to great articulation. It's the definition in the upper end of a condenser microphone is just tremendous over a dynamic microphone. And you know, there's the whole thing about, well, you're not transmitting 16 kc, but you know, you are transmitting articulation, and the whole thing about modulation is to move words from one point to the other, and the better understanding of those words, the better the transmission is going to be.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know how wide you're processing. This is transmitting out to 3.8 kc now. I got the transmit widened out. Did that open it up a little bit more?
Roger, I usually prefer to run about 3.1. I don't want to you know, to be too wide, you know. So if you can get to a 3, I think a 3 or a 3.1 is plenty wide to get that nice sweet sound. Roger.
Yeah, okay. This is 3.1 right here. It's 150 to 3.1. That's what I'm running right now. I usually, like if the conditions are bad, I'll usually pull it back to make it, you know, kind of penetrate a little more. But if you can hear me okay, I usually widen it out.
Roger, Roger. Yeah, I think, like I say, about a 3.1. I'm happy with that. Now this radio is actually a 2.4. This is a Yaesu 990, and it's a 2.4. But like I say, with that third octave equalizer, my pre-emphasis is sharper than the roll-off curve of the 990, so I can take this out to a 3.1. Roger.
Yeah, real fine. Well, I'll be interested. I heard you telling about listening to it. I'll be curious to go listen to how it sounds. I've never heard it on the air, what it sounds like off of the air. So anyway, I'll be looking forward to you posting that. I'll let you get on. There's probably other people are wanting to jump on here and talk with you. So I appreciate it, and you have a great day.
Roger, Roger. Just again looking at your audio, and you still have a lot of dynamic range there. And well, you're at number 2 on your compressor.
This is step 1. This is step 1 of compression. This is step 2 of compression, 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is step 3 of compression, 1, 2, 3, 4. You tell any difference there?
Oh yeah, now 3, you really came up gangbusters. Let me listen to you just a little bit at 3, Roger.
Yeah, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is compression at 3. I'm looking at Harbaugh's electronic webpage. It says your worldwide source for amateur radio amplifier parts and upgraded kits. How does that sound?
Roger, just out of curiosity, if you went to step 1 and then brought your mic gain up and stayed within your ALC, but you know, it might be that your mic gain is low.
Yeah, okay. This is where I started with right here in position 1. Okay, that's the next step in the audio, the mic audio drive. I'm turning up the ART mic input is what I'm doing. Okay, this is the next step, 1, 2, 3. This is step 2. And this is step 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is hitting the top end of the audio drive into the radio.
Roger, Roger. Are you still within the max limits? It's sounding good.
Yeah, it's still, well, it flashes red every once in a while on the audio input. Back off on the drive just slightly. Okay, now it's not hitting the red there. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is AA0KW for audio testing.
Roger, I think that's good. And, you know, I think an occasional flash you know, like every 10 seconds or 20 seconds of you know, a red light may not be such a bad thing, and usually that's like more normal than not, because you don't know if the light never comes on. You don't know precisely where you are, Roger.
Yeah, that's right. I worked in broadcast for several years, and we had a program manager that we were supposed to light 100% light maybe once every 30 seconds. His idea was if it wasn't on, it wasn't working. The 100% light on the FM.
Roger, Roger. Well, that's what's that? Monitoring the negative side, but your positive side is running 30 over that.
This is FM, so it was but I did work at an AM switch. They had an old gauge transmitter. They tried to get 125 positive on it. It would just suck the power supply dry, and it would just roll over when you tried that.
Roger that, Roger that. So you're just flashing occasionally on your audio level, and you're running a number 2 on your compression?
This is number 1. This is the first setting, the lowest setting of compression.
Try a number 2.
Okay, this is number 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the second setting. I didn't test the audio drive.
Well, I'll tell you now, your audio is starting to reduce in the dynamic range. You know, it's now looking to be about 3 dB, where I would think you would want to be, Roger.
Yeah, okay, well, I'm looking at the, this shows the transmit, and the transmit waterfall, and it's filled in, yours is filled in mostly green when you talk, and mine is starting to approach that.
Roger. And the other thing is consistency of mic working the mic. You know, if you stay, like what I do is I've got a windscreen and I'm right on top of the mic with that windscreen, so my proximity to microphone never varies, and I'm looking at my own modulation, you know, and when you write like that, you have much more consistency of audio. If you pull off the mic, you know, then or you're working 3 or 4 inches from the mic, you have varying degrees of proximity, and your level's going to shift up and down. Roger.
Yeah, real fine. Yeah, I'm about 3 inches away. Okay, this is that's way overdriving. Hold on. Okay, this is right on the microphone, but I'm overdriving it. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is I turned the audio down, but I'm right on the microphone right now. So how does that sound?
Roger, seems to be still about 3 dB of compression of dynamic range, and that sounds good, you know. And so that means that as I'm seeing your audio, my meter is you know, up to 0 on the peaks, and then it only falls about maybe to a -3 during your transmission, you know. And this is a true VU meter.
Yeah, it's definitely the RF output is staying up there. It's flashing at least average of about 60 watts now.
Roger, Roger. Yeah, that sounds good. You know. All right, so let me jump out of here, man. I would run it like that for a little while and see how it goes. You know, like I say, we are. What's your location?
I'm in Iowa, about the east central portion of Iowa.
Roger, Roger. And what kind of power are you running?
This is just 100 watts. It's just barefooted.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Yeah, I'd run it like that for a while and see if anybody salutes, Roger.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's kind of what I want to do. I get on here and see, you know, get an idea what it sounds like. So I'm real curious to listen to the YouTube video or YouTube audio now. So I'll definitely be looking out for that.
Roger, Roger. I wish we had a better day, but, you know, it is what it is. So if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search, Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, that'll open up the QSO-VLOG page, and on that page, our QSO will be titled by date and frequency. and it'll be somewhere on the page. Usually YouTube puts it in the middle or to the top, but you never can tell. So it should be on. It will be probably on the page, but I can't say for sure where. Roger?
Yeah. Okay. Real good. Well, I'll be looking forward to seeing that. Oh, I was going to comment. I don't have a windscreen on this. That was one reason I didn't close talk this microphone. I can get just a little bit closer, but not a lot. This is as close as I can get to it. But you're probably hearing bits and everything like that out of my speech.
No, I really wasn't too plosive sounding, but I would run a foam windscreen on the mic, and then work it closer. And then when you work it closer, you'll have to look at the bottom end of your audio as far as EQ, because you might have what's called a proximity effect from the bass buildup when you work the mic closer, and so you might want to do something at 150 cycles. You might need to do something there, Roger.
Yeah, well, I've got it. I've got the 125 equalizer turned almost all the way down, and then the 250 is up. So really, the low end doesn't start coming on until about 250 hertz.
Roger, Roger. Well, look at that 250. You have a spectrum analyzer in your for that you can look at your transmitter.
No, this is it has a graphic equalizer for the microphone. That's the setting on the equalizer.
Roger, Roger. But doesn't have the pen adapter? Does not have a graphic equalizer display? I mean, a spectrum analyzer display?
No, it doesn't. It just shows the waveform there. You can get an idea of kind of how flat your audio is by looking at where what the waveform looks like, and it's still trending to the low end just a little bit. Let me pull that off. Okay, I pulled off some of the 250 now. Let me turn that down. This is the 250, so really about 500 hertz is where it's starting, where the audio is starting now. That's pretty flat when I talk.
Yeah, Roger, I would put about half of that back in. I would put about half of where you were back in, Roger.
Yeah, okay, this is adding the 250 back. The 250 back, I'm still suppressing the 125.
Yeah, I would run it like that. That gives you a little QSO sound, as opposed to a kind of pedal to the metal, working distance stations, Roger.
I take that back. Sorry about that. I had the receiver selected. This is, let's see. Okay, now this is back to kind of where I had it. This is 250, and then the 150 and 50 are suppressed all the way down. How does this sound?
Oh, I would leave it right there. I would leave it right there. You got a nice bottom end, and the top end is up, so I would run it just like that for a while.
Yeah, okay. I have the peak. I kind of have it peaked at about 2 KC, and then let's see. This is bring the 4. This is about the 4 up just a little bit. Even though it's, I'm only putting out 3.1 KC, but I emphasize the 4K just a little bit.
Roger, Roger. Well, the uppers 2.5 is the actual magic frequency, 2.5K on the upper end. That will be the one that you can set that articulation right there, Roger. Do you have a parametric EQ?
Yeah, it's got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's an 8-band equalizer is what it is.
Right, is it parametric, or any of them parametric?
Now, what does that mean, parametric? I'm not sure what that means.
Parametric means you can shift the frequency, the active frequency of the frequency that you're working on. You can move the point of plus or minus frequency-wise.
No, you can't move it. They're fixed.
Roger, there's a comment. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, what?
All the way up here in northwest Iowa, just listening, and we've got our bandwidth set to 2.6 on our transmit. And I was listening to some of the settings that was being made there, and it doesn't seem like there was any change on this end. I wonder what bandwidth you're transmitting at, over.
Gosh, I couldn't copy him too well. Could you?
Yeah, he was asking what bandwidth are we transmitting? Is that what you asked?
Roger, roger.
Yeah, right now I'm transmitting 3.1 KC, over.
Oh, 3.1?
Roger.
Oh, that's strange.
Yeah, I should be running about 3.1 also, somewhere in that ballpark.
Oh, okay, roger.
Yeah, what are you listening on? What bandwidth are you listening on?
This is an Icon 7600 here. I'm set to 2.6 on transmit. Listening on 2.6.
You're at 3.6, is that what you said?
BM800 condenser mic, which is set to 100 hertz. That's why I was wondering, but I didn't hear any audio.
Yeah, I've got the low end turned all the way off, so my voice is very deep, so I have the low end turned way down.
There's somebody else talking in there too. The band just flipped. The band just flipped around and you say your voice is deep, over?
Yeah, that's correct. My voice is very deep, so I keep the low end turned off just because that's wasted power going out.
I can't hear anything anymore. The band just changed around.
Well, I'm not hearing him either now. Anyway, how does this sound? Does this sound about where you would like to hear it? That's got a good bit of compression. The compression's running around 20 dB on some of the flashes there.
Yeah, I don't copy him at all.
Yeah, I'm not hearing him now. He said he was in northeast Iowa, northwest Iowa, somewhere in there, but he was right at my noise floor when he first came on.
Roger, Roger. Well, anyway, I think we've probably worked on your radio. Hopefully, it sounds good to me under the conditions, Roger.
Have a little bit of a crunch, so that probably is pretty crunchy.
Roger, I think we doubled some of that. I was just saying, I think it sounds a lot better than where you were, and your dynamic range has been reduced, so your fatness of your signal is much greater. Roger.
Yeah, real good. Okay, well, once again, I will let you go and see if anyone else wants to get in here and have you critique their audio. So I appreciate the help, and I hope to work you again. And that's quite a nice service that you're doing there. That's very good, very nice. So 73s to you, and you have a great day. This is AA0KW. So long.
Roger, Roger, and that was Joe, Roger?
Yeah, that's correct. What was your name?
The name here is Jim, Juliet, India, Mike, and we're located near Louisville, Roger.
Yeah, okay, I forgot to write it down, Jim. And you know what happens when you don't write it down, at least at my age anyway. Okay, well, 73s to you, and you have a great day, and continue the great audio. This is AA0KW.
Roger, Joe, and I have problems even if I do write it down. I tend to doodle a lot, and sometimes my doodle gets in the way of important information. Anyway, threes, and you have a real good day. We'll catch you later. This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor, Kilo Victor, and the Monday morning QSO-VLOG program. If you have need to hear what your radio sounds like, give me a call. We're standing by. Station, you are right at my noise level. I can hear you back in there, but you are at my noise level.
Yeah, terrible bad
Yeah, right at my noise level. Maybe conditions might shift. Matter of fact, taking a look at the time here, it's moving toward my lunch time. So I think we're going to wrap it up. We've been doing this for probably about an hour or so. So we'll say 3s for now. And we will catch everybody next Friday morning with another QSO-VLOG program. And like I say, we go out of our way to do the best recording of your transmission as possible with a very low RF front end, keeping it out of AGC compression so it's not sucking up noise between words, and we are using a direct line out from the receiver, so it's your audio, not my room, that you'll be hearing. 3s all, and we'll be taking a siesta for lunch. This is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor.